Out there in modern suburban gardens, it is a common belief that devoted pampering is the key to every botanical miracle. You can see automated irrigation systems showering the earth with a daily mist, expensive bags of synthetic fertilizers scattered week after week, and a lemon tree sheltered in absolute perfection. It stands tall, its canopy bearing the glossy emerald green of perpetual, vigorous growth. Yet when spring arrives, while all of creation is bursting into blossom and heavy fruit, that magnificent tree maintains a profound, absolute silence. Not a single pristine white bud appears, not a whisper of fragrance drifts into the air. There are only new leaves continuing to stretch upward, amidst the quiet frustration of the gardener. Now cast your gaze upon the heirloom apple and peach orchards on an Amish farm in the cold reaches of Pennsylvania. There, the ancient weathered trunks are never swaddled inside a glasshouse. They are left to stand tall, braving the heavy snows and bone-chilling cold of winter. The fierce north winds lash against their bare, rugged branches in what seems like the ultimate suffering. And yet, the very moment the frost thaws, thousands of blossoms erupt in unison, blanketing the orchard corner in pure white, radiating a fragrance so intoxicating that honeybees travel for miles just to seek it out. The profound difference between a lush but barren tree and one heavy with fruit does not lie in indulgence. It rests in understanding a primal truth of Mother Earth. True abundance often sprouts from the very edges of hardship. Sometimes the greatest way to love a tree is to embrace the Amish philosophy of Gelassenheit, gracefully yielding to nature and allowing the plant to experience a gentle touch of survival pressure. Today we will step back, release the habit of over-intervention, and draw on that ancient wisdom to learn to commune with citrus trees in their own biological language. If you are tending to a lush evergreen lemon tree that stubbornly refuses to bloom, breathe a sigh of relief. You have not done everything wrong. In fact, the issue may be that you are doing everything far too perfectly. In the natural world, a tree bathed in an endless supply of water, soothing temperatures, and boundless nutrients enters a biological state known as the vegetative comfort zone. In essence, a tree is like any other living entity. Every single day, it must make a vital decision. Should it continue stretching its leafy branches to conquer more territory, or channel its entire life force into flowering and bearing fruit? When everything in its surroundings is effortlessly comfortable, its survival instinct quietly lulls the desire to reproduce to sleep. It whispers to itself, "Life is beautifully tranquil. There is no threat. So why expend a colossal amount of energy to forge the seeds of the next generation?" And so, the tree becomes imprisoned in an endless looping rhythm of sprouting new leaves and stretching new branches. Modern gardeners often make a quiet, unintentional mistake. They apply a single rigid regimen of care for 12 long months. They water with the same frequency, scatter the same macronutrient fertilizers, and then stand back, waiting for the tree to somehow realize that spring has arrived. But fruit-bearing trees have evolved over tens of thousands of years within fiercely shifting environments. The history of nature was written by prolonged droughts and sudden scarcities of nourishment. It is those very harsh fluctuations that serve as the spark of life. When the environment turns unforgiving, the tree senses a threat to its survival. It immediately halts the production of leaves and issues a profound command. I must forge seeds immediately to preserve my lineage before it is too late. In the early years of the 20th century, as plant physiologists began to dissect these mysteries, science uncovered a quiet battle raging within the vascular tissue of the tree. Two groups of signals are forever vying for dominance. On one side stands cytokine, in the hormone that drives cellular division, pushing the plant to sprout and grow new foliage. On the other side is phloragen, a mysterious signal commanding the birth of a flower bud. For phloragen to awaken and conquer cytokinin, the tree requires a magnificent resonance, a gentle signal of environmental stress, paired with a sudden, abundant surge of phosphorus. Phosphorus is not merely a mineral. It is a messenger directly intervening in the root's energy metabolism, signaling the entire system to shift into a reproductive state. However, the vast majority of those brightly packaged commercial fertilizers are heavily laden with nitrogen. Nitrogen is the very fuel of cytokinin. When you flood the earth with nitrogen, you are empowering the relentless growth of leaves, inadvertently suffocating any chance for phloragen to speak. The key to shattering this loop rests in an incredibly humble compound known as monopotassium phosphate, or MKP. While the traditional farmer scatters hearth ash and bone meal patiently, waiting for nature to slowly break them down, modern science offers MKP as a flawless reflection of that very process. It delivers a pure, pristine stream of phosphorus and potassium, dissolving entirely into water and traveling straight into the root system with breathtaking speed. When this abundant signal of phosphorus arrives precisely during the absolute absence of nitrogen, the tree instantly awakens. It receives the sharpest biological directive: cease making leaves, begin forming buds. This is not manipulation. It is simply us fluently speaking the very language the tree has always yearned to hear. Dear friend, as we sit in quiet contemplation of Mother Earth's miracles, understanding that sometimes a graceful yielding, a gentle withholding is the truest form of love, perhaps you too can feel a purifying stillness washing over your mind. Learning to commune with nature rather than imposing our will upon it is not merely the art of gardening. It is a philosophy of slow living, a journey back to freedom and originality. If you are yearning to build a self-sufficient homestead, to nurture a pristine, pure space for your family, then we are walking the same meditative path. Please take a peaceful moment to gently press the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your rustic, heartfelt comments about the young shoots emerging in the corners of your garden are the warmest fire, giving me the vital energy to continue wandering and unearthing buried ecological legacies, returning the heirloom seeds of understanding safely back into your hands. Now let us step into this process of awakening life, a quiet ritual spanning several weeks. For the first step, embrace the philosophy of tender hardship. Roughly 2 weeks before you intend to offer the MKP, completely strip away any nitrogen-based fertilizers. Do not bring another drop of nitrogen into the garden. Simultaneously, stretch the intervals between your waterings. If you currently water every 3 days, gently extend it to 5. The goal is not to drain the lifeblood from the tree, but to walk it to the very edge of thirst, to the moment when the leaves begin to lose their glossy sheen and curl ever so slightly. This intentional scarcity of water and the absolute absence of nitrogen will engineer a flawless survival pressure, beautifully weakening the voice of cytokinin. After those 2 weeks of gentle trial, the second step is the ritual offering of MKP. Measure roughly 3 to 5 grams of pure MKP crystals and dissolve them into a quart of room-temperature rainwater. Stir with a quiet grace until the elixir turns clear. The focus of this drenching is not the thick trunk of the tree, but rather the earth along the outer edge of the canopy, known as the drip line, the sacred space where the fine-feeding root hairs are most active. Ensure the soil is not bone dry and cracked before pouring. If necessary, mist a delicate layer of water over the earth an hour beforehand, so the roots are eagerly prepared to drink without suffering mineral shock. The third step is a masterful technique too often forgotten: foliar feeding. The roots carry the burden of absorption, but the leaves are the site of immediate energy transmutation. Brew a much gentler, diluted elixir, merely 1 to 2 grams of MKP per quart of water. Using a fine misting wand, delicately bathe the undersides of the canopy as dusk begins to fall, when the searing heat of the sun has retreated and the microscopic stomata on the leaves open their chests to breathe. This fine mist bypasses the long, arduous journey from the roots to the branches, delivering phosphorus straight into the leaf tissues, igniting a hormonal shift in a matter of mere hours. This rhythmic harmony between the roots and the leaves is an absolute flawless symphony. Once these steps are complete, observe with boundless patience for the following 14 days. Do not overwater and maintain an absolute, steadfast refusal of nitrogen. The very first sign you will witness is a profound stillness. The tender tips of the branches, once frantically pushing out new green shoots, will suddenly halt. They will appear neat, blunted, and quietly contemplative. This is a joyous signal. The tree has shifted from a state of sprawling outward to a state of inward accumulation. And then, upon the mature weathered branches, the sacred vessels of reproductive hope, you will see tiny, firm green nodules begin to swell. A few days later, the green husks will part, revealing the pristine white specks of innocent petals. The feeling in that moment is a stirring of the soul that defies words, a priceless reply from nature honoring your deep patience. However, there is a golden window discovered by agricultural science in the 1980s. A solitary detail that dictates triumph or failure. The lemon tree, much like all citrus, possesses an internal temperature clock. They require a period known as the chilling requirement, lasting 10 to 20 consecutive nights, where the temperature dips below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. That chilling bite is a primal biological cue signaling that the bitter winter is fading and the season of reproduction is at hand. Therefore, the most powerful moment to enact this MKP blossom-forcing ritual is at the very tail end of the spring chill, just as the night temperatures begin to softly warm. By this time, the tree has received its full chilling cue. The reproduction door is already resting ajar. Your offering of MKP is merely a gentle nudge, pushing that door wide open. If you carelessly apply this method in the sweltering, stifling heat of midsummer, when the tree holds no concept of the shifting seasons, the results will be heartbreakingly faint. Finally, before we close this journey, you must fiercely protect the fruits of your labor from mistakes born of regret. Many gardeners, overcome with joy at the sight of hundreds of budding flowers, frantically pour nitrogen fertilizers at the base of the tree to nourish it. In an instant, the tree plunges into biological shock. That sudden excess of nitrogen reawakens the cytokinin hormone, commanding the tree to violently snap back into leaf production mode. The tragic consequence is that every single delicate bud will plummet to the earth before it can ever bloom. An incredibly heartbreaking sight. Stay far away from synthetic nitrogen during this sacred phase. Instead, tenderly offer a soothing liquid organic feed, such as a gentle kelp tea or a highly diluted fish emulsion to provide nourishment at a calm, unhurried pace, granting the tree just enough strength to cradle those blossoms until they set into vibrant young green lemons. When you truly comprehend the delicate nuance of the comfort zone, the profound power of the phosphorus signal, and the deep patience required of the temperature, you are no longer merely planting a lemon tree. You are learning to read the ancient dictionary of ecology. These rustic techniques are never about manipulation. They are the graceful art of companionship. Nature inherently yearns to multiply, to burst into flower, and bear heavy fruit. Our only task is to simply step back, cast aside human arrogance, and provide the exact quiet conditions that all living things require to rise on their own.